So I'm revisiting the D minor Sarabande of Bach from the French suite in D minor, BWV 812. And the Sarabande is in triple meter. It's a slower moving movement, dance, and it's sad, it's somber. This definitely is a very somber, sad D minor dance. So what I do first is I want to explore what the main idea is when the subject of 4 voices at the top is starting this. I want to hear what the contour is. I want to get a sense of what the rhythmic flow of it is. What are the destinations in the phrases? Are there questions and answers? Are there extended long lines that are heading toward a cadence, which of course they are. How do they get to the cadence, these notes? Okay, so we're going to start with the very beginning and see what it's doing. Go to the long answer, roll to the. Now he's going to let loose and just do a lot of eighth note. All the way there and dip. I get an idea of what he's doing there. The question and answer, I might do measures 3 and 4 a little bit less as an answer, but as long as I know that there is a dialogue there, it's important. And as long as I know after that we're letting things go all the way to the cadence, and that we know that that crest of that long spree of notes is this, and falling down. So to there and down. I need to know how I'm shaping that line. Okay, so I have an idea of what's happening there. Now I'm going to go over to the voice right below, which would be the alto voice. Appears to be less interesting with less motion and kind of supporting a harmonic dimension of the soprano, giving it harmony. You could see how it's moving. 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. It's a sequence. 3, ta, lots of repeated notes. Right. 1, rest. Okay, now I'm going to combine the soprano and the alto, and I'm definitely going to defer. Based upon what I've just heard in the alto, I'm going to definitely make sure it doesn't upstage or overshadow or play above the upper voice. That's clear to me. So if I had a choir, I would say to the altos, please don't sing above the soprano, keep it underneath. So that takes a degree of voicing. So you're right, leaning more with your weight toward the upper voice. Answer. That's my finger switches. Now open it up. Now I added a voice here, by the way. He inserted a D there because I think he wanted that to be your destination, and in order to have more volume, he added another voice to get the crest over to. That's alto. That gives you more fullness to that destination there. It's passing dissonance because you have a major seventh. So he's emphasizing that dissonance. And then he's bringing it down. That's why he inserted another voice there. One note. Okay, now I'm going to go over to the tenor voice and see if it has anything interesting in it. Okay, it's moving. alto, do, and then comes resolve it, and T and tom, thumb, thumb, T, falling down. Okay, that's more interesting. As a matter of fact, if I do the soprano line and that tenor, I'm going to have a more interesting interaction than I had when I combined the soprano and the alto, because we're going to find some contrary motion now between the voices, which is contrapuntal. It's a more interesting counterpoint. Let's see where that is. I'm going slowly. Here it is. Already interesting. Now we have again. Moving again together. And here. Okay, that's much more interesting, that interaction. Much more counterpoint between those voices, because we had the contrary motion and we had some of the voices, that is the top and the tenor, moving together, the rhythm together, and that's an interesting dimension too. Okay, now let's go to the bass. On the bass alone, we should hear that. That's an interesting line, isn't it? Cello line. Dropping down to okay, so that's interesting. Bass. Bass in the bottom. Let's look at the soprano and the bass. Nice interaction. This is very important to do. Now what's very interesting when I did the tenor and the bass is that you have to know that there are different T-I-E-R-S, different tiers of these voices. It's very easy for one voice to run into another, but Bach was clear with his different stems that the bass has one voice, for instance, and the tenor has another. You have to be careful how you're doing that. I'm going to do this again and make sure that the listener or me knows that when I'm doing a tenor, that's not going to run into the bass. That means I have to have different arm weight when I have the tenor versus the bass. I have to make a decision about that. I'm still thinking of, these are the tenor and the bass. What I might do here is start soft on the tenor, right here, and bring out the bass. So what I'm doing, I'm deciding to do soft on the tenor. Bring out the bass. That's a possibility. But you knew it was different, that they weren't the same voices. I think that's a good idea, because I tried it the other way where I played deeper into the tenor and lighter into the bass, and I didn't like it because it makes the cello line get very puny sounding. And that cello is in a very wonderfly rich part of the piano. And it's to get softer there and let the alto go louder, I don't think so. I think I like this. See, it's different. Soft L, soft tenor. I think that makes much more sense. And it will make sense when I combine the other voices. Because when I do the upstairs and I get to that juncture, you're going to see what I'm going to do. So, now I'm going to put everything together and I'm going to show you how I'm tiering all the voices. And here's that contrary motion. I'm bringing it out. Answer. Most of what I wanted to do. It's pretty much decided how I tiered those voices. Now what I'm going to study now is the left-hand bass, and you're going to notice in B section, and by the way, the practice was to repeat each section and improvise and add ornaments and other insertions of variations of the first part and do the same. But I'm not doing that. It would take very long to do that. Now when you get to the second part, you're going to notice this bass line is going to borrow from the subject. That's what's so beautiful about it. This is the B section. Here's the cello. Answer. The answer is different. The E flat. Put an E flat in there. And remember what he did here with the same notes, but 2 octaves higher. Go to the long note. When he got here, he went to an E natural. He didn't go to an E flat. Okay, the difference then in the answer, when you got to the B section, was he put in very haunting E flat. And a listener wants to hear that. And that's got to cut through the other voices on top, because we're listening for any tie to the opening subject, which is so brilliantly done. Now here comes always go to those long notes. Now this seems like it's going to pick up what you had that followed here, but it only partially. Go straight down. So it no longer follows what came next when we were upstairs at the beginning. So this is all different. Like a figured bass. Now here it comes back. This resembles the subject. Resembles it. Not exactly the same, but we can pick up a resemblance. This is separate. I'm doing the bass line. This half steps going down, half step. Romanticism. This is so important to go through every single line and know or notice where a strand from the subject is coming back, because when you're going to get all the voices and learn all of them, you're going to want to flesh out that relationship as you play it, that counterpoint. Now, I do urge everybody to do every single line, but this would take up the next hour. So I'm going to put the upper voices together, and I am going to tier them, so you'll know when I'm aware that where there's a soprano and where there's an alto, I am not going to let the alto jump out over the soprano. So I'm going to start grouping the notes upstairs. I'm going to do the right hand. You're going to hear upstairs. Here's the melody upstairs. Let me do that a little bit. This is melody. Push. Sequence. I got softer. Now this is going to resemble the subject. You're going to hear right away that you heard the beginning, but you're in the major key of F. F major. Now the answer is going to go back to the dominant of D minor. So it's transposed. He's brought us back to D minor. It has to end in D minor. Now you recognize this from the beginning, but it's different. It's different here, where he goes to the harmonic. I'm using the wrong fingering, but I have to correct that. So where does he get that from? The very beginning. But it's different. It weaves into a different line, but you can recognize most of that coming back, and I'm going to do the right fingering now. Remember, my fingering looks very awkward because it's fashioned so that I can get legato between my top line and my bottom line, because I don't want to get gasps. So that's why you see kind of silly fingering, but it works. 5, 4, 3, 4, 3. Da, 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 5, 4. Meandering. Da, da, da. It sounded very choppy, but it won't be choppy when I combine the two voices, as you will see. Now I'm going to go to that end there so you see what happened there. See what happens to parallel 60, Picardy. Wow, you can see that is so amazing, isn't it? When he brings back what you heard at the beginning on the upstairs. And he, of course, brought it back to the home key. And when you heard it upstairs, he did go into some subdominance, which would be the G minor. And then he went to the half cadence, which brought us back to D minor. But he might be transposing. So he is transposing these ideas. So you have to know the keys you're in. There are not too many different keys in this, but there was that beautiful F major of the subject, which is very bright. You hear it. Da, chi, do, chi, do, do. So beautiful. It's back to D minor, harmonic minor. So beautiful. Don't forget your cadences. Or your resolutions, I should say, or the resolution. Lean on the dominant. Lean and whisper. So I'm going to play the whole second part, and even though I didn't parcel it, which I do when I was learning it, you're now going to hear when the subject comes out in whatever voice, you'll hear it. perfect, but getting there. So you could tell where I really was trying to be responsive to that very beginning idea and how it spun out as needing to thread through whatever voice it comes in and whatever key it comes in.